Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial on how to create a basic website using Wix.com. You're welcome to use any different website builder for this assignment, but I thought it might make the most sense to use this because I find it to be a pretty easy to use website builder. All right, you're going to hit the get started and create a username and password. I'm just going to log in and that's going to bring me to my dashboard. And now I want to design my site. I would say you're welcome to play around with generating a design with AI. I have heard that it doesn't work super great, so um, let's go and just pick a template and go that direction first. And I'm going to first start with using the blank templates to see kind of how that works. And then we can always go back and look at some of these other types of templates. For instance, the creative one might be really great for showing some portfolios and that kind of thing. Like there are ones that are really good for showing portfolios of your different work. So that might be something that you want to try out. But we're just going to go for the blank template to begin with. And I'm going to pick, I really like the design of, for instance, Lauren Tierney. She has like all of her maps. A lot of them are animated GIFs because they were interactives. That's obviously not the case with the maps that you're making for data-driven cartography, but this could be useful, a useful example. And so because of that, I really like this gallery layout. And so I'm just going to go with that one. And what I want to do is obviously give things good names. We learned a lot about this in Data Driven Cart. So one of the things that I really want you to do in your website is not forget kind of all of the design strategies and things that we've learned all term. And I want you to take a lot of those design conventions and design ideas and bring them into your website. So for here, I might write cartography portfolio. And then one aspect of this is that I want you to have at least 2 pages. So this is our home page, for instance, and we need a kind of information about you page as well. And then in this template, there's a contact page, which is separate from kind of the about page. So however you decide that you want to do it is up to you. So here, if I click on my pages over here on the left-hand side, I can kind of look at what all of my pages are. And in this template, there's also these individual projects which have their own pages that you can't see on kind of the main site menu that's up here. But if you click on something, it might take you to this, which might be the way you want to design your cartography portfolio. So I'm gonna maybe call this my portfolio. I'll have this as my about page. I'm gonna delete this work page. And I'll leave the contact page because this is actually really helpful. It's already in here and built for me. So anyways, just something to think about. You may want to delete things like joining a mailing list. This is such a user-friendly way to design websites. So it's really nice because you can just kind of drag as you need. Oops, that's not what I want. And kind of change colors as you need. So for instance, here I would put my work address in my case. I wouldn't put a lot of your actual personal information besides your website and maybe your telephone number. That's up to you. But definitely your email address is really helpful. I also find that when I'm looking at websites, I get really nervous to use these forms. I really want to be able to email people from my own email address. And that gives me some credibility. For instance, like it's going to come from my email, which is cfish11@uoregon.edu, which gives me some credibility, right? And the same for you, right? Having that .edu after your duck ID is really, really helpful if you're just kind of like cold emailing somebody. But at the same time, there's probably people who on the other side of this are running a website and they want to be contacted through this form so that they can filter those emails and find them or deal with them at a certain time of day or a certain time of their week. So anyways, just a couple different ways to do that, but I definitely would still put your email address on there, even if you get rid of things like your address and telephone. And, deciding to keep different links to other kind of social media and that kind of thing is up to you. One thing you definitely might want to put on here is a link to your LinkedIn, and especially as you build that network. Maybe your Facebook or Instagram isn't maybe as professional, and so you maybe would just want to avoid using that as or kind of sharing that. On the other hand, it may be, an actual place where you're sharing work that you do. I have a lot of colleagues who do that. They use Instagram for very professional reasons. And so you may want to have those links there. So anyways, and then things that you can do too are, changing how things look and how things are designed. One thing that you should really think about is making sure that your design across the different pages, how many ever you do, you have a minimum of 2 for the assignment, that you're really kind of having a good cohesion. So for instance, if I were to choose this image, which is a stock image provided by Wix, I want to make sure those kind of colors and design repeat throughout my website so it doesn't feel disjointed and it doesn't feel like I'm going to a different site when I click on a different page. So anyways, those are the menus and pages. You can add sections. I'm going to go back to my portfolio. And this is where, for instance, in here, these are your gallery. And so these can be your thumbnails that are required. So for instance, in this case, if I were actually making this website assignment, I might do something like only have 4 of these similar size thumbnails, and then I would replace that image and take a thumbnail of my map. So for instance, I might take a screenshot of my map here. This is just my random example map. And do that again. So it saves it. And oops. Here's my screenshot. Where's from? Right, here's my screenshot. Didn't save right away. All right. So here's my screenshot. And I want to just put that in here as my thumbnail. So now I'm going to add my page. And I can do things to edit the image down. All right. And then I'm just going to continue to add my thumbnails here. So I've got a couple different screenshots that I'm gonna add here. What did that do? Image media, this image. There's that. These are not actually maps made by me. This is just for my example. So you add all of your content basically in this kind of gallery library, and then you can add to it. Okay. Now, one thing I want to be able to do is I want to link this to the actual document. So here's where I am going to link it to my actual PDF. So for instance, Okay, so now I want to, in my site files, I want to add all of my PDFs. So I have 4 PDFs. I'm just going to drag them in here and add them to my page. So this is the link for this student engagement map. So I don't want it to go to the red state, blue state map. I want it to go to, it's this bivariate hex map. And now, theoretically, so let's preview this. So when I click on these, they do get bigger, which is nice. But I can't like really zoom in on this as a website. Right, it's a pretty low quality image. But when I click on this, it allows me to theoretically open that PDF, which it is not doing for some reason. All right, we're gonna have to figure this out. So let's go back to the editor. Why isn't this working? To a document. Opening. Right. Well, I'm gonna keep going with this, and then we can try to deal with this in a minute. I'm gonna preview. Okay, so it has some info. Okay, I think I figured it out, what's going on. So I'm gonna go in here and manage media again. The issue was that I couldn't do it in just the preview here. I needed to actually publish it, and then it showed up. So I want to make sure that it's linking to the right thing. On 2 seconds as I re-upload these. All right, bivariate hex, add to the page, hit done, done. And then I'm gonna publish it. I'm gonna view my site, and then theoretically it should work. Yeah, so now I can have that PDF directly in my portfolio, which is a requirement of this lab. Okay. So the big thing there that I just realized is like the preview doesn't assure that it's there. So make sure you publish it and double check that everything, all the links actually work. So now we can kind of go to each of these and change things. Now, in here, you can write a description. And I suggest, because it looks like, for instance, in this layout design, this template, that looks really nice. Like when I click on, I'm just going to do the preview for right now. When I click on here, it is going to populate this. And even when I view it here, theoretically, I'm going to see that information. So in the requirements there, you need to kind of write about your maps. And so you want to make sure that you want to just put that in there. I would start with writing it in like a Word document or a Google Doc and then copying it into here as a way to make sure that everything's spelled correctly and that kind of thing. Editor. Okay, so we can do that with each of these files, you know, make sure there's a description. The alt text is really important for screen readers, all sorts of different things. Honestly, web searches use this, as well as just needs to make websites accessible. There's lots of reasons to do alt text. And you want to make sure you give it a title. So this is, in this case, some choropleth map I found here. This map shows blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure actually even what it shows. This is a choropleth map of, not sure, can't tell right now. And I don't remember what it was, which shows distribution of this attribute by counties, I think, across the US. We can see, or no, the distribution, and then describe what's actually going on geographically, not actually cartographically, is helpful. And then this is where you're going to link to that document. So this is my choropleth map, and that's now going to link there. So, and I can preview that, and I'll have all of that description there, and then I'll be able to open this when I'm not looking at it in preview, when I'm actually looking at it as the published version. Okay. I can also add information down here. For instance, these were projects I created as a part of my data-driven photography course at UO, at University of Oregon. We were required to blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you can do that. It's up to you. Really, the bare minimum, though, that I'm expecting is all 4 of your labs in thumbnails, and then also having the ability to look at the PDFs. And then there needs to be a description, a detailed description that I explain in all of the information about the assignment. So, and then we can go and look at some of the other aspects here. right? This is where you're going to potentially add a photo of yourself. So, by the way, this defaults to doing center alignment. Really, it's harder to read that way. So try to make it left aligned. About Carolyn. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Geography at the University of Oregon. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Whatever you wanna write in there. And then this is also where you would add your information about or add your, so sorry, your head shot. So this might not be the best kind of design for that. So maybe it's, you know, going in and finding something that really kind of speaks to you more about who you are. So like this might be a better place to put in your own headshot, right? So I just kind of I added a section here, and then I just kind of messed around and I was like, okay, an about page. This one's got a picture that looks cool. And then I'm going to go in and I'll change that background image and upload some media. Well, I have all of my headshots in here that I use. Change background. That was not at all what I wanted. I want to change this photo. Files, fish for website, change background. All right, there we go. And then I think I can manage this in here. Might want to do like, oof. That's probably not what I wanted. And like, I scale to fit. Do. God, looks awful. So anyways, you can go around and obviously there's about a million things that you can do. This gets me most of the way there. One thing I might want to do is fix that. My headshot, for instance, in this example is not the best because it's, you know, like your best headshots are really like kind of like your just actual head. But I was kind of worried when I made this, when I had this picture that, you know, my shirt's kind of a little low cut. So I wanted to like not have it cut off there. Anyways, so just things to think about for yourselves. Anyways, you know, I might write this. I can have this social bar. You can set all of that stuff in here. You know, I doubt a lot of you are using Facebook to connect with people or Twitter anymore, but you might be using LinkedIn and Instagram, depending on how professional that is. So anyways, then I might just delete this section down here. So, yeah, and then I want to save. All of this is free, as long as you don't kind of get your own custom domain, it's all free. So, I'll publish it, and now I have my own site. So it defaults to showing me my portfolio, which is great for this example. Then I can click over, look at this about page. And then I had my contact page. So pretty basic. You only need to have 2 pages. You're not required to have 3, but just kind of something to keep in mind if it makes sense, or it just already is built in and you want to do that. So hopefully that was helpful, and yeah, good luck.